Hello friends, welcome to the Crisc part 6 domain 3 of the certified in the risk and information system control. Friends, today we'll delve into the and we'll unravel the complexities of control testing and effectiveness evaluation, right? Now friends, just let me bring it out first that why this topic is so essential in the realm of Crisc, right? Friends, these are well controls are the safeguard. We all aware that, right? That organizations put in place to manage the risk. But here is a catch that control need to be tested also, right? To ensure that they are not just taking the compliance check boxes, but are actually effective in safeguarding the against the potential threat, right? So that's where the control testing and effectiveness evaluation comes into play, right? First, we'll discuss, as we have shown in the view file, that we will discuss some good practices for testing, in which we will discuss about data testing, right? In which importance of using complete and secure test data, including technique like fuzzing to push the limits and verify the resilience of your system, right? Second, we'll go ahead and we'll see about the environmental separation, right? Next in the chart is about the version control, right? In this, we'll delve into the world of assigning specific version number and tracking mechanism to ensure that you always know the iteration of your system is in play, right? And at last, we'll discuss the importance of locking down source, which prevent inadvertent modifications, and even using integrity checking tools to ensure the code remain the pristine, right? Friends, these practices are not just theoretical concept, right? They are the practical steps that organizations take to fortify their information system against the potential risk, right? So without wasting time, just we'll look into it. We'll see the first, that is control testing and effectiveness evaluation, right? Under the control testing and effective evaluation, the first is about the importance of control. We'll discuss about it, right? The first is about the risk mitigation. Friends, risk mitigation, we all aware that controls are like safeguards, right? That help protect a company from potential risk or danger. So they are important for keeping the business process safe and running smoothly, right? Just take an example, like think of a control as a security measure in a bank, right? So cameras, alarms, and locked doors are all controls that reduces the risk of theft. If these controls are in place, work effectively, the bank is more secure, right? Similarly, next we'll discuss about the impact of poor implementation. Friends, if controls are not set up or managed well, they may not do their job properly, right? This can lead to the problems like security breaches, where unauthorized people can access sensitive information, right? So imagine that a company using a password as a control for access to its computer system. So if employee use a weak password, or if the system does not enforce strong password policies, it's like having a door lock that is easy to pick, right? So this poor implementation could allow unauthorized individual to access important company data and causing the harm, right? So to summarize, we can say that controls are essential for reducing the risk and managing the security of a business, right? When controls are poorly implemented, it's like having a weak link in the security chain, making the organization more vulnerable to potential problem and breaches, right? Next, we'll discuss about the comprehensive testing program, assessing the complete scope of implementation. In this, the first point is about the testing at the various level. Friends, comprehensive testing involve checking a system or a software, right, at different stages, such as when individual parts are put together or integrated, or when the whole system is tested, like system, right, and when the end user is interact with it, right? Similarly, just take an example, like imagine building a car, right? Unit testing is like checking each part, right? Like engine, brakes, individually, right? Similarly, integration testing is ensuring that these parts work together correctly, right? And third is the system testing. In this, the system testing is checking the whole car, right? And at last is the end user testing, is like having people drive the car and see if it meets their need, right? Next, Next is about the addressing scope and exclusion. Friends, when testing control, it is crucial to make sure that test cover everything the control is supposed to handle, right? Just a scope, and consider any specific things it is not designed for, right? That exclusion, right? Let's understand with an example. Let's say that you have a security team, right, for a building. So testing the scope means checking it secures all the entry point, right? Checking exclusion involves understanding where the security system might not work, like during the maintenance hours when certain doors are intentionally left open, right? Friends, testing should ensure both these aspects are considered, right? We can say that a comprehensive testing program involves checking a system at different level and making sure that test cover everything a control is supposed to handle, right? While considering any exceptions. So this help ensures that the system work well in all expected scenarios and meet its intended purpose, right? Moving next. Next we'll discuss about the progressive and regressive testing. Friends, what happens? Control testing may be done on a progressive or regressive basis, right? So progressive testing involve stating the expectation, right, and look for flaws, while regressive testing work backward, right, from known problems to identify the cause. So both form of testing are commonly used throughout the testing process, right? Regression testing can be particularly useful in determining whether incidents have root cause in policy or standards, right? Moving next. Next we'll discuss about the significance of regression testing. The first significance is purpose of regression testing. Friends, regression testing help to find out why certain problems or incident occur in the system, right? It involves tracking back from known issues to identify the policies or standards that might have been violated, causing the problem, right? Let us understand with an example. Like, think of a website that used to work perfectly, but after some updates, certain features stopped working. So regression testing would involve going back to check the updates and identifying any changes that might have caused the issues, right? Moving next we'll discuss about the utilization in the risk management. Friends, in the context of risk management, regression testing is like a detective tool, right? It helps assess how well existing policies and standards are working, right? It indicates if there are deeper issues causing incidents that need attention to manage the risk effectively, right? Let's take an example. Consider a company with cybersecurity policy, right? If there is a breach, regression testing could reveal if the breach was due to a failure in implementing these policies or helping the company to improve its security measures, right? Next, significance is about the effective incident analysis. It states that the regression testing allow organizations to analyze incidents more effectively, right? It helps in understanding the cause of issues, leading to better control measures and strategies to reduce the risk, right? Friends, it is a proactive approach, right, to strengthen the overall control framework. Understood? So let's, for instance, if just think like that, like if a software application crashes, right, unexpectedly, so regression testing would involve looking at the recent changes in the code of identifying what causes the crash, right? So this information can then be used to prevent similar incidents in the future. Understood? So regression testing is like a detective tool that traces back from known issue to identify the reason behind them. So in context of the risk management, it helps the organization to understand if their existing policies are effective and enables a proactive approach to addressing potential weaknesses in the control framework. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some best practices in the testing, right? For ensuring the effective control evaluation. The first is about the ensuring adequate coverage. Friends, testing should cover everything, right, that a control is supposed to handle. No important area should be left unchecked to avoid potential vulnerabilities, right? For instance, imagine if you are testing a security system of a building, right? So adequate coverage means testing all the entry points, windows, and possible ways someone might try to enter. Understood? So you would not want to leave any area untested, just like you would not want to leave a door unchecked for security vulnerabilities, right? Moving next is about the documentation and reporting. In this, friends, it's crucial to keep a detailed record of the testing processes and results. So this documentation help in reporting the findings, analyzing the effectiveness of control, and making informed decisions on how to improve them, right? Just like think of documenting documentation as a keeping a logbook for a scientific experiment, right? It records all the steps taken, observations made, and results obtained. So this thorough documentation ensure that other can understand and replicate the experiment, just as it help in understanding and improving control testing processes, right? Next, about the adherence to the standard. Friends, following the established standard, right, it ensures that a testing process is consistent and reliable, right? It means that using recognized best practices and industry standards to enhance the credibility and effectiveness of control testing, right? So to summarize all the three, we can say that ensuring adequate coverage means testing everything thoroughly, right? Documentation helps in keeping a record for analysis and decision making, and adherence to the standard ensures consistency and credibility in the testing process, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some challenges in the control testing, right? Friends, despite the importance of control testing, organizations often face the various challenges, right, in implementing effective testing process. So these challenges may include resource constraint, complexity of system, and evolving threat that require constant adaptation of testing methodologies. Right. Next, we'll next part we'll discuss about some best practices of effective testing. The best practices include testing data best practices, in which the first is about the validity of test data. Right, friends, effective testing is crucial for ensuring the reliability and security of software system. Right, it involves specific consideration for data, version control, and code to ensure thorough and accurate testing, right? So let us see the best practices for testing data, right? First is about the validity of the test data. Friends, the accuracy and appropriateness of the test data significantly impact the reliability of testing, right? So in this, the sensitive information should be displayed securely, either by masking it with a special character or altering it to make it unreadable, right? Just think of a form of a website where you enter personal information. So valid test data would involve using realistic but not real personal details, ensuring that the testing accurately reflects how the system handles sensitive information. Understood? Next, about the complete test data. Friends, the test data should cover all the possible scenarios, right? And functions, including pushing the boundaries of acceptable values, right? Like fuzzing. Understood? So this helps to verify that the sum can handle a wide range of inputs and identify potential errors. Just understand with an example, right? Imagine you are testing a calculator app, right? So complete test data would involve not only checking basic arithmetic, but also trying extreme cases like dividing by zero or entering the very large number to ensure that the calculator handles all the inputs correctly, right? Next, use of distinct data, right? Friends, use of distinct data is preferable to use test data specifically created for testing purpose rather than using actual production data, right? So this helps to prevent the unintentional disclosure of sensitive information. So production data should only be used in exceptional cases and with proper de-identification and approval, right? Friends, consider an online shopping platform, right? Instead of using real customer data for testing, distinct test data with fictional names, addresses, and payment details can be created, right? So this ensures that sensitive customer information remains confidential during the testing process, right? Moving next. Next, we'll discuss about the version control and the code testing. Importance of the version control and code testing. The first is about the version control best practices, right? Friends, version control is like a time machine, right, for code, right? Allowing you to track changes, collaborate effectively, and go back to the previous version if needed, if required, right? So imagine a group of people collaborating on a document. So version control in that case, it will ensure that everyone has a latest version, keeps track of who made the changes and allow you to revert to a previous version if someone makes a mistake or if you prefer an earlier version, right? Next is about the code testing method. Friends, code testing involves different technique to make sure the code work correctly, right? So this include testing small parts like unit testing, checking how different parts work together like integration testing, right? Or as regression testing, that ensuring that changes don't break existing features, right? Next is about the automation in the code testing. Friends, automation in the code testing means using tools and script to perform the test automatically, right? So this improves efficiency and accuracy, allowing frequent and reliable testing of the software code, right? For instance, consider a factory that produces car, right? So manual testing would be like checking each car engine by hand. On the other hand, automation is like using a machine to perform the same checks on every car faster and without human error, ensuring consistency and reliability. So to summarize all these things, we can say that version control help to track code changes and collaborate effectively. Code testing methods ensure that the functionality and stability of the code and the automation in the code testing improves efficiency and accuracy in the testing process. Right? Moving next. Next is about the implementing effective testing in your organization. That is integration of best practices into the testing process. That is first is about the training and education. Friends, proper training and education are like giving team members the tool and knowledge they need to test effectively, right? It ensures everyone understand and follow the best testing practices, right? Just take an example, like think of a sports team, right? So before a game, player undergo a training to learn tactics and techniques. Similarly, providing training to the testing team equip them with the skill needed for the effective testing, right? Next, about the collaborative testing effort. Friends, it means that collaboration means different team, like a team in case of cyber is development, testing and quality assurance working together, right? So this improves the testing by catching issues early in the development process, right? Next is about the continuous improvement. Friends, continuous improvement is about always finding way to do things better, right? In testing, it means regularly refining and enhancing testing practices for better result, right? Just take an example. Consider a chef who constantly tweaks a recipe to make it tastier, right? Similarly, fostering a culture of a continuous improvement in testing means regularly reviewing and refining processes to deliver high quality software products. Right? Next is about the challenge and the future trend in the testing. Friends, testing can face difficulties due to limitation in the resources, right? The complexity of technology and changes in the software requirement over time, right? So the future of testing may involve using advanced technologies like automated testing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to address the demand of modern software development, right? Let's moving further ahead, we'll discuss about some best practices in the unit testing and code review. The first is about the challenges of integrated system, right? Friends, unit testing and the code review are essential process, right, in software development and system maintenance. So these practices help to ensure that individual component of a system work as expected and the code meet the quality and the compliance standard, right? So let's see by the challenges of integrated system. The first is about the complexity and potential point of failure. Friends, as system become more complex, there are more component opportunities for things to go wrong, right? That is a potential point of failure, right? So pinpointing the resources of problems in integrated component can be challenging. So comprehensive testing is necessary to ensure the system operates fully, right? Next is about the importance of testing at the different level. Friends, testing at different level like individual control, modules or sections of code is crucial to catch errors early, right? So while this kind of testing is essential, it might not fully demonstrate the system's operational capacity until all parts are integrated, right? Next is about the role of third party review. Friends, having a third party review new or changed source code ensures quality and compliance, right? So an impartial and knowledgeable review based on standards help to maintain the code integrity and identify potential issues, right? Next, we'll understand about some best practices in the coding standard, right? Friends, adhering to the coding standards means following established guidelines for writing code, right? So this includes using industry best practices, proper commenting, and consistent coding conventions, right? So as per the statement, it states that the software development adherence to the organizational coding standard is crucial, right? And developers must follow industry best practices, including the proper use of comments and coding convention. Friends, in this, the developer should use comments to explain the complex part of the code and follow the coding conventions for consistent formatting, right? So this enhances readability and understanding for both the developer and together who might work on the code, right? Next is about these standards should reflect the good practices wherever compatible with the organization goal, right? And emphasis on high quality coding standards contribute to the overall reliability and maintainability of the software, right? Friends, emphasizing that high quality coding standards contribute to building the reliable and maintainable software, right? When everyone follow the same guidelines, it is easier to understand, modify and fix the code in the future, right? So next is about the value of the third party review, right? First is about the detecting unauthorized changes. Friends, third party review are like security guards, right? For code, checking for any unauthorized changes. So this prevents security vulnerabilities and ensure that the code complies with the standards before being used in production, right? Next is about the identified inadequate implementation, right? In this, the Friends, third-party review can spot problems like incomplete error handling or missing documentation in the code. This ensures the code meet the quality and compliance standard. Right? Next is about the impartial review based on the standard. Friends, an impartial review means evaluating the code without personal biases, focusing on industry standards. So this ensures that the code meet the required quality and compliance standard for successful integration and use. Right? Similarly, next is about the applicability to network hardware. Friends, the same standard of third-party review applies to the administrator making changes to configuration for router and the network hardware. So this ensures the integrity and security of network system. Right? Let us understand with the example. Consider a technician configuring a network router. Right? So before deploying changes, a third party might review the configuration to ensure that that they meet the industry standards, preventing potential security vulnerabilities. Right? Next we will discuss about the some aligning with the organization policies. That is integration of testing and organization goals. The first is about the role of self-assessment. Friends, self-assessment means individuals evaluate their own work, right? While this is valuable in development, having someone else not involved in creating the deliverables conduct formal testing ensures a fair and unbiased evaluation of the code, right? Next is about the integrating organization policies. Friends, a risk practitioner should be aware of organizational or departmental policies related to the testing, right? So procedures should be designed to follow these higher level control, aligning with the organizational goal and industry standard. To summarize, we can say that the self-assessment are valuable in development process, but formal testing by individuals not involved in creating ensures impartial evaluation, right? So friends, the integration of organizational policies into testing procedures help align with the higher level control, ensuring adherence to the organizational goal and industry standards. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some vulnerability assessment and commercial software. That are challenges in testing commercial software. Right? First is about the detailed engineering information. Right? Friends, if there is a detailed engineering information available, it may be possible to perform the testing from a vulnerability assessment perspective, right? So this means checking the software for potential weakness, right? Or vulnerabilities. Just let's understand with the example, like think of a car manual, like that provides detailed information about the engine and the parts. So while this information, a mechanic can assess the car vulnerability and potential issues more effectively, right? Next is about the subjective review based on penetration testing. Friends, for commercial software and vendor products where detailed engineering information might be lacking, right? So review are most subjective and based on the penetration testing. So this involves actively trying to find and exploit vulnerabilities, providing a more informed evaluation, right? Just understand with an example, like consider a security guard evaluating a building security, right? So instead of having detailed blueprint, the guard conduct a penetration testing by attempting different ways to breach the security, right? Like providing valuable insight into the potential weaknesses, right? Moving next we'll discuss about the some role of the risk practitioner. Friends, while the risk practitioner may not be expected to conduct unit testing or code review, it is crucial to be aware of the concept and limitations of each approach. Right? Standards should be in place as the basis for any testing that is performed, and the risk practitioner should ensure that procedures align with the organizational and departmental policies. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some best practices for environmental separation in the enterprise environment. Friends, in this environmental separation is generally it is critical for preventing the cross population of data or application code outside the approval process. Right? It involves separating like development or testing environment from production areas to mitigate the risk of unauthorized access or changes to the critical system. Right? Moving ahead, we'll delve into the best practices for environmental separation in the enterprise environment, including the use of network level separation, physical separate workshop, and distinct developer team for test and production system. Right? Moving ahead, we'll understand some environmental separation like key concept and considerations. That is the separation model first. Right? Friends, enterprise manage environmental separation using physical separation, logical separation, or a combination of both, right? So risk practitioner need to understand the model their organization uses and reason behind it, right? Just think of a bank with different sections for customer service and financial transactions. So physical separation is like having different room for these functions, right? So logical separation is like using the computer system to keep the customer data distinct from the financial data, right? Next is about the compensating control. Friends, when physical or logical separation is challenging, compensating controls are implemented to effectively manage the associated risk, right? Friends, these controls should match the level of risk involved, right? Let us understand with the example, like consider a building with a limited space for separate rooms, right? So a compensating control could involve using security cameras, access control system, and encryption to manage the risk effectively when complete physical separation is not possible, right? Next is about the consistent application. Friends, it is crucial to consistently apply environmental separation measures in practice to maintain the integrity and the security of enterprise system. Right? Next, about the risk management. Friends, effective environmental separation is a critical part of the overall risk management strategies. It helps to reduce the likelihood of unauthorized access or data breaches. Right? Just think of a computer network. So friends, in environmental separation is like having different user permission, reduces the risk of a single user gaining unauthorized access to sensitive information or contributing to the overall risk management. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about the some network level separation. Friends, network level separation means keeping development and testing environment isolated from production area using distinct network segment into the virtual LAN. Right? So this prevent the unauthorized access and the data leakage between the different environments. So friends, the primary purpose of the network level separation is to reduce the risk of security breaches and data contamination, right? So by keeping the development and the testing environment isolated from the production environment, potential issues in the development or testing phases are less likely to impact the live production system. Understood? Moving next we will discuss about some physical separate workspaces, right? That is about the benefit of the physical separation. Friends, physically separate workspace like having different room or a building for development and testing, right? Providing a high level of security. So this ensures that activities are conducted in the isolated environment, minimizing the risk of unauthorized access or data compromise, right? Just take an example, like imagine a bank with a separate room for customer service and financial transactions. So physical separation ensures that the sensitive financial activities occurs in an isolated space, enhancing the security, right? Next is about the challenges and consideration. Friends, while physical separation enhances the security, it may present logistical and operational challenge, especially in the large enterprise environment, right? So we'll have the best practices. So friends, developing a clear guidelines and protocols for using physically separate workspace help the enterprise to establish the best practices for maintaining secure development environment, right? So to summarize that, we can say that the physical separation in workspaces offer high security level by isolating development and testing activities, right? However, it comes with the challenge, especially in large enterprise, right? So establishing best practices through the clear guidelines and protocol is crucial for maintaining secure development environment, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some distinct developer teams, that is separation of the test and the production system. First is about the role-based access control. Friends, role-based access control involve giving access permission based on an individual role in an organization, right? So in the context of distinct developer team for test and production system, role-based access control ensures that only authorized personnel based on their roles have access to the specific environment, right? Just take an example, like think of a building with different access level. So an employee access card determine which area they can enter, right? Similarly, role-based access control restrict access based on the personal role, limiting them to the environment relevant to their responsibilities, right? Next is about the segregation of duties. Friends, in segregation of duties means dividing the task and responsibilities among different developer teams, right? This helps to enable a separation of responsibilities, reducing the risk of conflict of interest and unauthorized activities, right? Let us understand, like consider a bank where one team handles the customer transaction and another team manages the financial reporting. So segregation of duty ensures that no single team has a complete control over both areas, thus minimizing the risk of fraud or errors, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some logical separation. Friends, logical separation involve creating isolated environment, right? For development and testing using virtualization or containerization. Friends, this approach allows for flexibility and scalability while ensuring the necessary level of separation, right? Friends, think of a computer with different software installed in a separate virtual machine. So each virtual machine operates independently, providing a logical separation, right? Similarly, using virtualization or containerization create isolated space for development and testing in a flexible and scalable manner, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some compensating control, right? In this, the mitigating risk in challenging environment. First is about the risk assessment. Friends, in this compensating control, conducting a risk assessment involve thoroughly identifying challenges in implementing environmental separation, right? It helps in understanding specific risk and determining the compensating control needed, right? Next is about the security measures. Friends, implementing additional security measures such as encryption, access control, and monitoring can help to mitigate the risk of associated with challenging separation scenarios, right? Think of securing a valuable item, right? So you might use locker, alarm, and surveillance camera to deter the theft, right? Similarly, in challenging separation scenario, additional security measures provided as a layer of protection, right? Next is about the continuous monitoring. Friends, establishing continuous monitoring and auditing involves regularly checking and evaluating environmental separation measures, So this helps to detect and address vulnerabilities or deviations from best practices over time. Right? For example, consider a health checkup. Right? So regular monitoring allows the doctor to detect any changes in health and addresses potential issues before they become serious. Friends, in this the continuous monitoring in security measures serve a similar purpose. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some consistent applications, that is for ensuring integrity and security. That is, first is about the policy compliance. Friends, policy compliance involves making sure that all individuals engaged in the development and testing follow the organization environmental separation policies and guidelines. Right? So this is essential for maintaining consistency in the application of these policies. Right? Let us understand with an example, like think of a school with rules for behavior. So ensuring that every student adheres to these rules, that is a compliance, maintain a consistency and orderly learning environment. Right? Next is about the training and awareness. Friends, providing regular training and awareness program help to reinforce the importance of environmental separation. Right? It ensures that best practices are followed consistently across the entire enterprise. Right? Just with the school example only, consider a workplace safety training. Right? So a regular session reminds the employee of safety protocol and raise awareness. Similarly, training and awareness program for environmental separation reinforce good practices in development and testing. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some risk management considerations, right? Addressing potential threat and vulnerabilities. The first is about the risk assessment. Friends, regular risk assessment involve identifying and addressing potential threat and vulnerabilities related to the environmental separation. Right? It helps in understanding the risk and taking the preventive measures. Right? Next is about the incident response. Friends, robust incident response protocol help to the enterprise to effectively manage and mitigate the security incident or breaches. So this involves having a plan in place to address and contain the issues promptly. Right? Next is about the adaptability. Friends, in this the continuous evaluation and adaptation of environmental separation strategies are crucial to address the evolving cybersecurity threats and industry best practices. Right? It ensures that security measures stay effective. Right? Just take an example, like think of updating a software on your phone. Right? So regular updates improve security by addressing new threat. Similarly, adaptability in the environmental separation strategies addresses evolving cybersecurity risks. Right? And last is about the audit and compliance. Friends, adhering to the industry specific audit and compliance standard is essential, right, to ensure that the environmental separation measures meet regulatory requirement and industry benchmark. Right? Moving next we'll discuss about some implementing compensating control, right? That the effective strategies for complex environment. First is about the risk-based approach. Friends, a risk-based approach involves implementing compensating control based on a thorough risk assessment, right? This helps the enterprise to prioritize and address the most critical security and separation challenges, right? And next is about the collaborative effort. Friends, engaging cross-functional team in designing and implementing compensating control enhances their effectiveness and practicality. Right? So it involves working together from different perspectives to create the robust solution. Right? So to summarize the implementing compensating control, to summarize we can say that the risk-based approach involves a tailoring compensating controls based on a thorough risk assessment, right? Prioritizing critical security challenges. Similarly, collaborative effort ensures that cross-functional teams work together to design and implement these controls, enhancing their effectiveness in addressing security and separation concern. Right? Friends, after this we'll discuss about some understanding the version control in software development. Friends, as the word says, that is version control. Friends, version control is a critical aspect of software development, right? As it helps in managing changes to the system effectively, right? It refers to the process of tracking and managing changes to the software code. Friends, the primary purpose of version control is to store a complete history of code version, right? Making it possible to revert to the previous version if needed. In this coming presentation, we'll see that we'll explore the importance of version control and how it mitigates the risk of overwriting or bypassing functionality in a system, right? So first is about the importance of the version control. Friends, version control is like a systematic way of managing changes, right, to code during software development. So it ensures that the correct version of the code is used for production or maintaining system integrity, right? So version control is crucial because it reduces the risk of errors and conflicts in code implementation. It allows developers to collaborate effectively, right? Track changes and make sure that the correct code version is staged for the production, right? Moving next. Next is about, we'll understand about the tracking system iteration, that is importance of the version control. First is the version number assignment. Friends, version control involves giving a specific version number or using tracking mechanism for each revision of a system, right? So this helps to distinguish between the different versions. Next is about the current iteration tracking. Friends, version control track the ongoing development of something, ensuring that changes are effectively managed and recorded, right? Next is about the maintaining system integrity. Friends, version control in this case ensures that the correct source version is ready for production use, right? Maintaining the integrity of the system, right? And next is about the content review and the testing. In this, the version control helps in making sure that the report and content reviews and testing apply to the correct version of the components and system, reducing the risk of errors and conflicts, right? Next, we'll discuss about some risk mitigation through version control, that is effective system management. The first is about the risk prevention, right? Friends, version control help to prevent the risk of overwriting or bypassing functionality, right? That was previously implemented or changed in the system, right? It ensures that changes are tracked and managed systematically, right? Next is about the code integrity. Friends, version control assists in managing and maintaining the integrity of the code, reducing the likelihood of errors in code implementation, right? It ensures that the code remains reliable and functions as intended, right? Moving next. Next we'll discuss about some best practices for the version control. The first is about the collaborative development. Friends, version control encourages the collaborative development and effective teamwork by tracking and managing code changes, right? It allows multiple developers to work on the same project without conflict, right? Next is about the code revert and rollback, right? Friends, in this the version control enables the developer to revert to the previous code version, right, if errors or conflict arises. Ensure system stability, right? It provides a safety net to undo changes and restore a known working state, right? Next is about the documentation and tracking. Friends, in this the version control promote thorough documentation and tracking of code changes for future reference and audit purpose. It ensures a record of who made what changes and when, right? Next is about the implementing version control, that is a practical application in the software development. The first is about the tools and technologies, right? Friends, under the tools and technologies, the version control involve exploring the various tools and technologies designed for effective code management, right? So these tools help to track changes, collaborate and maintain the project integrity, right? Next is about the best fit for the development, right? Friends, choosing the right version control system involve understanding the project requirement and team collaboration, right? The selection is based on the factor that a project size, complexity and the numbers of collaborators, right? And next is about the integration and adoption. In this, friends, what happens? The strategies for integrating the version control into the software development process involve incorporating it seamlessly into the workflow, right? So adoption strategies focus on promoting the use of version control within the development team. Understood? Moving next we'll discuss about some challenges and solutions, that is for overcoming version control challenges. First is about the conflict and merges. Friends, in version control, conflict and merger change occurs when the multiple developers make changes to the same part of the code, right? So addressing conflict and merger ensures smooth collaboration and effective version management, right? Next, about the scalability and performance. Friends, scalability and performance in the version control involve dealing with issues that arise when managing the large code bases and complex development projects, right? It ensures that the version control system remain efficient as the project grows, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some code locking process in the software development. Friends, in the code locking is an essential step in moving a new or a modified system or application into the production, right? Friends, it ensures that the source code, right, cannot be accidentally or intentionally modified after it has been approval for the final testing. So in high sensitivity environment, friends, integrity checking tools such as digital checksum may be used to validate that no unauthorized changes have been made since approval. So let's delve deeper into the significance of code locking and its impact on the software development process, right? So let's understand it. First is about the what is code locking. That is ensuring security code integrity. Friends, code locking is a process that secure the source code of the software system, right? Preventing unauthorized access, modification or tampering. It is crucial for maintaining the integrity and security of the code base, right? Next is about the final version approval. Friends, once thoroughly tested and approved for release, the source code is designated as a final version, right? Also known as a gold code or a locked code. So this signifies that code is stable and ready for deployment, right? Next is about the integrity checking tools. Friends, in a high sensitivity environment, digital checksum and integrity checking tools are used to verify the authenticity and integrity of the logged code. So these tools ensures that no unauthorized changes have been made since the code was locked down, right? Moving next we'll discuss about some significance of the code locking. Friends, code locking is a crucial in a software development, right? As it acts as a safeguard against the unauthorized alteration to the source code. So unauthorized changes could compromise the functionality and security of the software system. So friends, code locking is like also instill confidence in the stability of final version, right? Allowing for the smoother transition into the production environment, right? So friends, by implementing the code locking practices, organizations can mitigate the risk of potential vulnerabilities and ensure the reliability of their software system, right? So we can say that there are something that we, after understanding this paragraph, we can say that the four benefits, right? The first is security, stability, and risk mitigation and smooth transition. So under security, we can say that the code locking enhances the security of software by preventing the unauthorized access and modification, right? Under the stability, we can say that it instills confidence in the stability of the final version, indicating that the code is thoroughly tested and ready for production, right? Under risk mitigation, we can say that the code locking practices help the organization mitigate the risk of potential vulnerabilities and ensuring the reliability of their software system, right? So with locked and stable code, the transition of software into the production environment becomes smoother, right? Let's move ahead. We'll discuss about some best practices for the code locking, that is ensuring security and stability. First is about the access control measures. Friends, implement strict measures to control the access, allowing only allowing only authorized personnel to modify the lock code, right? So this involves using role-based access control and multi-factor authentication, right? Next is about the version control. Friends, under the version control, we can say to utilize the version control system to manage the evolution of the code base and track changes. This helps to identify authorized modification and ensure traceability of the code alterations, right? Next is about the documentation and change management. Friends, maintaining detailed documentation of the log code and establish robust change management process. This facilitates the review and approval of proposed modifications, promoting transparency and accountability, right? And next is about the continuous monitoring. Friends, deploy monitoring tools to continuously oversee the integrity of the locked code, right? So regular audit and checks are conducted to detect any unauthorized alteration or security breaches, right? Next, we'll discuss about some challenges of the code locking, right? First is about the complexity of the system interdependence, right? In this, we can say, friends, that in a complex software system, interdependencies means between modules and components can make it challenging to effectively lock down the code, right? So it is crucial to assess how code locking might impact system functionality and performance. Next is about the maintaining code integrity. Friends, ensuring the ongoing integrity of logged code require proactive measures to address the potential vulnerabilities and security gaps. So this involve continuous monitoring and regular updates to protect against the emerging threat, right? So friends, code locking is a critical process in a software development to secure the source code and maintain its integrity, right? So it plays a vital role in ensuring the stability and security of software system as they transitions into the production environment. So friends, as our technology continue to advances, the importance of code locking will only grow, right? So organizations must adapt and evolve their code locking practices to address emerging security challenges and sustain the trust of their stakeholders. So friends, by embracing the robust code locking practices, organizations can fortify the foundation of their software system and uphold the integrity of their code, right? Thereafter, ultimately enhancing the reliability and security of their applications, right? Friends, here we come to the end of part 6, domain 3, presented by ISACA Prep Academy. Please do subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. Thank you.